The gum hit first, a soft tetch that rang inside the hush. It stuck to mirror-black leather, a pale smear on a shine so clean it held the sky. Behind dark lenses, Staff Sergeant Malik Rhodes paused a quarter beat, jaw tight, the skin below one eye flicking once, then reclaimed the cadence. 21 steps, pivot, 21 back, unbroken again. Sunglasses turned his face into a dark mirror. In that glass, Logan Pierce saw himself, small, open-mouthed, a phone dangling. The boy had slipped past the chain for a bold shot, bunched energy under a hoodie that cost too much. He flicked the gum to make the moment louder, to make himself louder. An hour earlier, the Pierces had come to place a tiny flag at the stone of Sloane's grandfather. World War II, quiet man, quiet hero. Sloane whispered a thank you. Victor stepped aside for calls. Logan waited, watching adults talk to names carved in marble while no one said his. He learned long ago that bigger noise drew eyes. Now the noise failed him. Sergeant Noelle Tran moved without hurry, 2 fingers to her earpiece, a calm step that cut off Logan's camera angle. Her palm rose. Behind the chain, please. The tone was soft. The rule was not. An old veteran in a faded cap removed it and stepped half a pace closer, not to threaten, but to witness. A little girl at the rail whispered, "Why doesn't he move, Mom?" The mother's answer was a shiver of silence. Phones sank. The plaza lowered itself to 0. Malik kept marching. The gum clung where it had no right to be. Through the black glass, his gaze never touched the boy. But the muscles along his temple held a story. Pressure contained, breath measured, grief trained into duty. His cousin, laid 3 sections over, had taught him what standing meant long before the badge did. Logan waited for a break in the wall. Anger, scolding, spectacle. None arrived. The silence was the consequence. The stillness was the sentence. His screen showed his own face, triumphant and tinier by the second. Sweat traced his neck. He wiped it with a sleeve, and the designer fabric left a streak. He looked at the shoe. The gum looked dull and wrong in the noon light. He could see himself warped in the leather, a bent reflection he didn't like. Behind the chain, Noelle repeated, gentler, closer. The veteran's eyes held steady. The little girl was quiet now, learning the same lesson he was. Logan stepped back over the rail. Noelle nodded once. "Sir, ma'am, we'll need a brief statement." She angled toward the administration wing. Victor pocketed his phone. Sloane touched Logan's shoulder. The boy glanced over his shoulder at the plaza. The gum remained, uncleaned because the lesson wasn't. The tomb guard pivoted. A metal flashed like a warning flare, and then went still. A small mess. A loud lesson. The office taught posture. Photographs of tomb guards lined the wall. Winter, summer, decades of bearing, light catching metals even now. A window cast a cold stripe across the floor. On the desk, Major Ruth Alvarez, beneath her glass blotter, a folded funeral program. Her thumb found its corner, then left it alone. Logan sat between his parents. Sergeant Noelle Tran waited by the door, a quiet hinge between worlds. Ruth finished laying out the 4-step silent watch curriculum and closed the folder. Victor Pierce didn't look at his son. He looked at his watch. "Impossible," he said. "He has the Briarfield prep interview Friday, a regional robotics match next week, and we're flying to New York for my investor briefing. We are not derailing his quarter for a reflective exercise." Sloane found her voice. "And my grandfather's memorial gathering is in Savannah in 10 days. We came here to place a flag today and catch a flight tomorrow. This schedule, she tapped the folder, doesn't respect our realities. Ruth let the protest settle. Reality, she said, is that he crossed the chain and stained a guard's shoe in a place where others are remembered for a never-breaking line. Victor offered a thin smile. And reality is we have lawyers and a child who can't miss these milestones. We'll donate, substantially. We'll fund your program for 12 kids if needed. We don't settle reverence with receipts, Ruth said. A flicker of irritation crossed Victor's face. With respect, Major, you're pitting symbolism against a 12-year-old's future. Dr. Simone Hart leaned forward, voice even. No. We're asking which future you want. The one where he learns that appointments outrank accountability? Or the one where he learns that when you make a mess, you stay until it's clean? Sloane bristled. He is not a vandal. He is a child. And children, Simone said gently, learn exactly what we reward when we're busy. Victor gestured at the photographs. These men had missions. So do we. Are you saying a robotics scholarship is less real than 10 minutes of silence? Ruth angled one slat of the blind. Through the slice of glass, the plaza, a dark figure in measured motion, a pale blemish at the toe that still caught the noon light. I'm saying he made his mission here, she said. That gum will remain where it is until we decide he has learned something. If you choose counsel and court, we proceed that way. If you choose education, we proceed this way. Victor turned to Logan at last. The look a businessman gives a balance sheet. Say you're sorry, he ordered. We'll write a letter. We'll film a statement. We'll... Simone cut in, soft, but immovable. That's a performance. Performances are how we got here. Silence ticked. Logan, Simone said, eyes level with his. Be honest. What did you hope would happen out there? He stared at his shoes. I wanted my mom to look up. Sloane's breath broke. Her hand found his. Ruth didn't wince, but her thumb pressed the funeral program once. Mr. Pierce, she said, you're weighing prep against preparation. One prepares him to pass interviews. The other prepares him to carry a name without dropping it. Victor straightened. We won't cancel New York. We won't cancel Briarfield. This is not negotiable. It is, Ruth said. The price of undoing what was done. Silent blocks can begin today. Ground stewardship will be scheduled in mornings before your flights. Names and stories can be completed in Savannah if your mother is willing to speak. Dr. Hart will coordinate. The ritual of repair occurs here, on your return, with Staff Sergeant Rhodes's consent. If you decline, I file a report, refer to legal, and this follows him the way you fear. Victor looked from Ruth to Simone to the window's hard stripe of light. He recognized the shape of the table he was at. No longer a donation desk, but a negotiation he was losing. And documentation? He asked, voice thinner. Criteria? Reviews? Weekly, Ruth said. Clear benchmarks, no cameras, no social posts. He will earn the right to be ordinary here by treating others as extraordinary. Sloane nodded through shining eyes. We'll do it, she whispered. Victor's mouth tightened, corners pulled down by a weight he couldn't expense. He slid the unused cards back into his pocket like chips he wasn't allowed to play. We accept, he said, and it sounded like a verdict against himself. We'll adjust flights. He completes your curriculum. But this doesn't become a media spectacle. No spectacle, Ruth agreed. Simone turned once more to Logan. "We start with 10 minutes," she said. "Just you and the silence. Then we'll see what it asks." Noelle opened the door. In the corridor, the photographs watched them leave. Through the window, the gum still clung where it had no right to be, proof that nothing had been fixed yet. "No shortcut," Ruth said, closing the file. "Only understanding. If you believe honor can't be bought, stay with us." They gave him 10 minutes and 3 words. See, hear, feel. "Don't perform. Consider, then answer," Dr. Simone Hart said, low even, and stepped aside. Logan stood behind the chain. His parents hovered a pace back, a shared glance, a shared breath. Sergeant Noel Tran kept a quiet corner of his vision. Out on the plaza, the tomb guard moved as if a line had been drawn through the day, and he was the pencil. Logan wanted his phone the way a throat wants water. He looked anywhere but where the gum clung. Anywhere but the shoe it stained. Anywhere but the lenses that turned the world into a dark mirror. His hands needed a task. The little notebook gave him one. He opened it, stared at the first word, and wrote like he was paying a fine. See? Rose? Shoe? Gum? He stopped. He pressed the pencil harder than the paper deserved. Noise came from inside, not out. The thud of his pulse. A thought banging on a door for attention. Another thought telling it to be quiet. Both getting louder. He dragged his eyes toward the plaza because avoiding it hurt more. The guard's cadence carried across the stone without asking permission. 21 forward, a clean turn, 21 back. Every step said not about you without saying anything at all. The shoe he'd marked held its shine around the stain like a small tide refusing to come in. He tried the second line. Here, steps, wind, someone whispering. He paused, listening harder, as if the page demanded proof. The plaza gave him something else. Restraint. He heard what did not happen. The cough someone swallowed. The camera shutter that did not click. The word that stayed in a mouth because a hand found a shoulder first. It made him itch. He shook his leg without meaning to. He stopped when the shake sounded like a knock in the quiet. He changed his stance. He changed it back. He looked down, sneakers too bright, laces too clean, and felt ridiculous. The shoe's reflection caught him anyway. Bent. Smaller than he felt 5 minutes ago. He looked away, then back, because the bend told the truth even if he didn't like it. The third line waited. Feel. He wrote, hot, itchy, want phone. He underlined phone twice. It helped and didn't. His chest felt crowded. The place wasn't heavy. He was. He scratched out itchy, put it back again, scratched the second H because it looked stupid. The page kept all of it, mistakes and all, and made no comment, which somehow felt worse than being scolded. He tried not to count the guard's steps. He counted anyway. He tried not to wonder who was watching. He wondered anyway. He tried not to think of his mother's face when he said the thing about wanting her to look up. The thought landed and stayed. Keep it plain, Simone said near his shoulder. True beats clever. Plain he could do. He set the pencil down, breathed in a way that didn't feel like a trick, and looked again. The guard's heel touched stone as if the ground could bruise. The rifle sat where it belonged. Sunglasses turned sunlight into a flat sheet and handed it back to whoever could stand to see themselves in it. Logan tried and failed and tried again. He added undersea, shine around the gum. It was the only beautiful thing about the mess. The ring of polish the stain couldn't eat. A tourist lifted a phone, thought better, lowered it. No one clapped for that. Logan didn't write it down, but he stayed with the feeling it left, a kind of small respect that didn't need receipts. He looked for something to hear he hadn't already claimed. He put, "quiet," then drew a line through quiet and wrote it again, harder, because the second time it felt earned. The page took both versions. He hated that and liked it, and hated that he liked it. His knee started up again. He stilled it with his palm. He wanted an ending. This wasn't one. It was a held note. He added under feel, mad. Not sure at what. He watched his hand write me after that, fast, like a confession he could outrun. He put a line through me and it didn't disappear. He closed the notebook, then opened it because closing it felt like cheating. He let his eyes touch the shoe a last time. The gum stayed where it had no right to be. Around it, the shine held. In that thin ring, he saw a face he recognized and didn't want to. Warped, yes, but his. "Time," Simone said, gentle, no ceremony. No one praised him. No one interpreted his page for him. His parents did what parents do when they're not sure whether to speak. Nothing and everything in a look. Noelle eased the space around them without a word. Simone tapped the cover with a fingertip. "We're not chasing wisdom," she said. "We're chasing accuracy. Same 3 words tomorrow." He nodded before he decided to. They didn't march away. They walked the long side of the chain, a route that made the plaza large and their voices small. Logan held the notebook like a thing that could bite if he squeezed. He did not look back for permission to feel what he felt. The place didn't give it. The place didn't need to. At the edge where shade began, he opened to the feel line one more time and added, almost embarrassed to see it on paper, "Tired of being loud." He snapped the cover shut as if someone might take it away. Behind him, the cadence continued for someone else. Ahead of him, tomorrow waited without drama. Between those two, a boy stood still longer than he wanted to and wrote what was true instead of what would have won. Shame grows where applause ends. At home, when you do something big, loud, risky, attention-getting, who looks up first? Mom or Dad? Dr. Simone Hart didn't warm up the room. She went straight to the point. Her voice was even, not sharp. It left space for an answer that might come late. Logan shrugged at his shoes. "Depends." "On what?" "On if somebody else says it first. So if you bring it up, they might miss it. If someone else brings it up, they can't." He breathed through his nose and nodded once. "So loudness is the bell that works," Simone stated, not as a question. "And if noise works, you'll always make more." He hated that it sounded like math. "Tell me the moment before the gum," she said. "Not the gum." He rubbed a thumbnail along his notebook's edge. "We were at my mom's grandpa's stone. She was, I don't know, talking to him. Dad was on a call. I thought if I got a shot, like a wild one, she'd look up. Did she? Yeah, but not for the reason I wanted." "What reason did you want?" He opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. "Me. Just me." The word sounded smaller out loud than it had in his head, like I'm smaller after I tried to be bigger. He scratched the notebook spiral. "Stuff I don't think about till later." "Name one." She pushed gently. "Name one cost." He finally met her eyes. "Feeling smaller right after I tried to be bigger." He winced, but Simone just nodded. "Honest is useful," she said. "Let's work with honest." He didn't relax, but he stopped bracing. "On the plaza," Simone said. You saw how quiet works. No shouting, no speeches, and everybody still heard. The plan now is simple. Every silent block, you write 9 words. 3 things you see, 3 things you hear. 3 things you feel. No phone, no camera. If your words are mad, hot, bored, good, write them. If your words are nothing, write nothing, and we'll talk about why nothing shows up. 9, he repeated, as if testing the size in his mouth. 9, she said. He nodded because 9 felt doable in a way Be Better never had. Second, Simone added, when you want someone at home to look up, try a true bell. Mom, can you look at this? Dad, can you listen for 60 seconds? If presence works, you'll return to presence. If noise works better, you'll return to noise. Children are brutal empiricists. Victor's jaw flexed and eased. He didn't look at his watch. Simone turned back to Logan. One more, not about guilt, about quiet. When you stood there, what's one thing the silence asked of you? Simone asked her last question. What did the silence ask of you? He fought with it, cheeks hot. Don't make it about me, he finally said, the words clumsy and true. He winced, like he'd dropped a plate. Simone didn't applaud the sentence. That's a workable line for tomorrow, she said. If it still feels true, put it under feel. If tomorrow all you've got is itchy, mad, want phone, put those. We're not collecting poems. We're measuring weather. He breathed once, deeper than before. She nodded toward his notebook. Let's set the rule clean. 9 words after each silent block. Read them with me later. No camera, no captions. If you need an audience, that's your signal to wait until you don't. He looked at his mother and father, and then back at Simone. What if they don't look up when I ask? Ask again, with the same voice, she said. Not bigger. Truer. He let that sit. What if I don't look up? Then we write that too, she said. It's data. He ran a hand over the notebook cover like it might run back. He touched the back of his neck, surprised by his own answer. Here. He flinched. Not because it hurt, but because it hit. He pictured the lenses handing him a dark version of his own face. He didn't like it. He also didn't look away from it in his head. Okay, he said. 9 words. 9 words, she echoed. And the smallest true bell you can ring at home. He nodded. Then, after a beat, what if I mess it up? You will, Simone said, not unkind. We write messed up and keep going. He sat with that and did not fold. Quiet is the hardest confession, Simone said, almost to the room, almost to herself. But it's the one we can do today. Logan slipped the notebook into his hoodie pocket like it might escape. He stood, then remembered to wait for the adults. They stood with him. No one reached for a phone. No one tried to crown the moment with a lesson. They just stood in a triangle that wasn't perfect and didn't need to be. Same time tomorrow, Simone said. 9 words, no camera. He nodded once. Small, real. They stepped into the corridor. The building held its hush. Far off, 21 steps continued for someone else, and for the first time he didn't count them. He let them be background, like weather he didn't control, like rules that didn't shrink him if he didn't push against them. He touched the notebook through the fabric. It touched back. They gave him tools instead of lectures. A broom, a canvas bag, a grabber. Sergeant Noel Tran pointed to the list. Brush the walk, return stray flowers, collect loose holders, and left it there. Hands learn first, she said. Pride learns last. He started too fast. Noel's raised palm slowed him. The scrape softened to a hush. He did the work. Holders stacked, leaves collected. But putting flowers back where they belonged was different. He guided a stray bouquet into its well and felt the moment land. This goes here. A tourist whispered, "Thank you." He didn't make it a show. Behind him, his father pocketed his phone and handed him a fallen ribbon without a word. He kept going. The sun leaned, shadows stretched, shrank, stretched again. A breeze skimmed the stones and went on. The plaza kept its own time and ignored his. A flash tugged at the corner of his eye, metallic, quick. He thought bottle cap and reached. It wasn't a cap. It was a crumpled square of silver. The foil from a gum wrapper, light as a whisper, creased into a tiny geography. Heat climbed his face before thought did. He held the foil up. The mirror it made was mean and honest. It broke his face into angles and gave it back smaller. Noelle glanced over. "Trash?" she asked. He didn't answer. He could have crushed it and dropped it in the bag. Instead, he smoothed it on his palm. The creases didn't disappear, but the mirror got clearer. He folded it once, a neat square, and placed it in the bag like a promise. Gum makes a mess, he thought. Foil can keep a shape. He went back to the flowers. He went back to the flowers. At the base of one, he found half a laminated photo. Someone's smile, torn. He placed it in the bag, not as trash, but as something private returned to its quiet. He stole a glance across the plaza. Staff Sergeant Malik Rhodes kept the count without audience. The doing made itself right. The truth irritated him first, then settled. Fine. If no one clapped, the work still held. At the shed, he nested the brass holders into their slots, each one clicking home. On the way back to the rail, another tourist stopped him. "Thanks for doing that," she said, nodding at the flowers. "It matters." He met her eyes. "Yeah," he said. "Not big. True." He glanced once more at the guard, cadence steady, sunglasses giving the sun back to whoever could stand to see themselves in it. The shine around the pale smear still held. Malik didn't look over. He didn't need to. The standard wasn't waiting for applause. It was busy being a standard. Logan tightened the drawstring on the bag so the foil couldn't rattle. He lifted the broom, thought about tapping it against his shoulder like a victory, and didn't. Pride could wait. "Done for today," Noelle said, taking stock with her eyes. "Same time tomorrow." He felt the old itch flare. Ask if you did good. Ask for a grade. He let it pass. The path behind him answered well enough. They took the long route by the chain. Air widened. Voices stayed small. On the way out, a flower he'd set right caught the light and held it like a bowl. Hands learn first. Pride learns last. Work teaches what words can't. What small work taught you humility? They met at the stone. Bernice Carter held a folded program. Her thumb worried one corner. The marine pin on her lapel was cold. She kept checking it, as if courage had a temperature. "I come most Thursdays," she said. He hated late coffee, loved socks straight from the dryer, ran on time, laughed like a cough. A small wobble at her mouth. Every letter had the same joke. "Keep the cat out of my chair, B." That cat lived to 19 and never sat there. I still shoe the chair some mornings. Habits louder than grief. Only Sloan came with Logan. Victor had a meeting he couldn't move. Sergeant Noelle Tran kept a quiet perimeter. Dr. Simone Hart stood near, letting the air lead. Logan read the name too fast and stumbled. Bernice didn't correct him. She waited. He tried again, slower. The syllables sat right. Her fingers trembled. He was 23, terrible with houseplants. The week before he deployed, he taught my nephew to tie shoes. Said, "Double loop is a promise you make to your feet." The boy kept it. The ivy didn't. She breathed out a near laugh. A ribbon at the base had slumped. Sloane crouched, straightened it, unpracticed but gentle. Logan mirrored her at the next marker. No applause, just rightness. Bernice opened her palm, a square of silver foil, smoothed flat except for one honest crease. "I keep this to remind me," she said. "Small things need folding, not flinging. Some messes you pick up, some names you pick up too." She hesitated, then set the foil in Logan's hand. "Say his name with care?" He lifted the tiny mirror, his face bent along the crease. He didn't love what it showed. He didn't look away. "They say unknown over there." Bernice nodded toward the white marble that belongs to many. "He isn't unknown to me." The words wavered, then held. Simone tipped her chin at Logan's notebook. Invitation, not order. He opened to a clean page and printed a heading with letters too big. "What I heard in the silence." Draft 1. He laughed like a cough. Warm socks mattered, houseplants didn't. His name takes longer if you say it right. Double loop is a promise to your feet. He underlined the name once, careful. Heat climbed his ears. His hand didn't stop. "You did it," Bernice said. Breathy, not polished. "You said him like I say him." She touched the stone with 4 fingers, the way you check a stove you already turned off. "Thank you for listening. Some days I only have a bus driver." "We needed to," Sloane said. "No performance, just presence." Bernice turned to go and clipped the path edge. Sloane caught her elbow, then let go before help became fuss. A small, grateful smile passed between them. On the walk back, Simone kept it practical. Second story in Savannah. If your mother will speak about your grandfather, Logan can listen there. Same rules. Careful name, 9 words after. "She will," Sloane said. Logan folded the foil once, clean, not tight, and slid it into the tiny pocket of his jeans, the one nothing useful ever stays in. Maybe this would. He read the name again, this time for himself, felt the middle syllable slow him down, whispered it once, then said it plain. He added 2 lines before closing the notebook. "He isn't unknown to her. He isn't unknown to me. Not now." He shut the cover like setting a cup you don't want to spill. No lesson got announced. The plaza had already done that. The work now was to carry a name like water, close, upright, careful. Name turns marble into memory. He stood the next silent block alone. Late light cut a white diagonal across the stones, clean as chalk. A whistle lived in his memory. Faint, not heroic. Coach Daniels hadn't been perfect, but he was enough. The day an 8th grader shoved Logan, the coach stepped in. "Don't try to grow by shrinking someone else." The thought wasn't a poster quote. It was just a tired man's breath and a hand held out. Someone stood for you. Now stand for something. He reached into the tiny pocket of his jeans. The foil square waited there, crease straight. He lifted it and saw a face that wasn't all edges anymore. Still bent, clearer. It wasn't love. It wasn't flinch either. Across the bright lane, Staff Sergeant Malik Rhodes kept count. 21 pivot, 21 pivot. The pale gum mark still clung, ringed by a halo of shine that refused to be eaten. Standards wait. So does work. The itch rose. Fix it fast. Win the day. He found Noelle. I want to clean the shoe, he said, the words rushing. The right way. No camera, please. Her face was unreadable. Repair is a privilege you request, not a right you announce. I'll carry it, she said, but prepare for not today. He let the warning land and didn't argue. The itch to hurry slid back a little, like a dog asked to sit. When Malik's watch ended, he crossed the seam of shade, gloves off, sunglasses in hand. Noelle spoke low as he passed. Staff Sergeant, the boy requests permission to clean the shoe. Off duty, no camera. Malik's eyes met Logan's for one heartbeat. Logan lifted a hand slightly. I'm here. Malik's answer was to Noelle, but meant for both. Not today. If he wants it, he can prove it in other work first. The words were plain, not cruel. He moved on. The refusal cut and cleaned at once. Logan breathed through his nose and let it hit the right places. I'll do the other work, he said to Noelle. It wasn't bravado. It was a decision shaped like a sentence. Good, she said. We've got plenty. They rolled the grounds cart to the walkway. The list wasn't dramatic. Straighten, return, brush. He set a bouquet back into its small well and felt the water take the stems. He reached for another and hurried, old habit, bent a flower, and swore under his breath. Reset, Noelle said. He backed the bloom out, shook it loose, angle, slide, breathe, and felt the fix run up his forearms into his jaw. He didn't glance around for an audience. There wasn't one. That helped. A tourist whispered, "Thanks." He didn't turn it into a moment. He kept working. Twice more he sped. Twice he corrected himself. Tiny battles, tiny wins. He took out the foil again and saw both truths at once. The bend and the boy. Respect asks before it shines. Noelle didn't say, good job. She said, next row, and he preferred that. On the way back toward the chain, Malik reappeared with a small maintenance kit in hand. Off duty, still exact. He passed them with a nod for Noelle, then tilted the kit the slightest degree, like a wordless acknowledgement that tools exist, but timing matters. Logan kept his hands at his sides, eyes level. Sir, he said, the quiet version. Malik's chin dipped the width of a coin. The look he gave Logan wasn't warm, wasn't cold. It was accurate. Then he moved on. Standards busy being standards. The plaza breathed. Shadows lengthened. Logan felt the urge to ask, am I ready now? Rise and fall like a mistake he had time to avoid. Same time tomorrow? Noelle said. Yeah, he answered. Then truer. Yes, ma'am. They took the long way along the chain. The gum's pale mark still clung. The ring of shine still held. And for once he didn't imagine the dramatic scrub, the instant absolution. He imagined the hours between now and ready, and the small work filling them, one careful inch at a time. He slid the foil back into the tiny pocket and pressed it flat with his thumb. It gave him back a version of himself he could keep working on. Not perfect, not hopeless, just accurately seen. Ask, then earn. The weekly review moved fast. Progress boxes on the board. Columns neat. Silent blocks, stewardship, names and stories, ritual of repair. Major Ruth Alvarez noted completion. Dr. Simone Hart added, simple, accurate, no performance. Sergeant Noelle Tran. On time, resets when he rushes. Victor pushed once, criteria, not impressions. Then let it go when Ruth answered with numbers. No media, no shortcuts. The point was clear. Logan didn't wait to be asked. I want to add an hour each morning before flights, he said. More grounds work? I'll finish what I heard in the silence before Savannah, and I'd like permission to clean Staff Sergeant Rhodes's shoe. Off duty, no camera. Ruth met the request without softening it. Respect begins where excuses end. Proposals need proof. Before anyone could expand the debate, Staff Sergeant Malik Rhodes stepped into the doorway. Off duty, exact as ever. Ruth's hand gave the smallest welcome. Noel summarized in one sentence. Malik listened like the room had weight. He faced Logan, not close enough to break the rule, close enough to be heard. You asked to repair, he said. Not today. A beat. Off-duty permission is possible if you keep earning it. How? Logan asked. Keep the grounds right. Say names correctly. Finish the writing, Malik said. When it's time, Sergeant Tran will tell you where to stand, what to use, and what not to touch. You'll clean what you marked and nothing else. Understood. Yes, sir. Malik reached into a pocket and brought out a small round wrapped in cloth. He opened his palm so the room, without cameras, could see. A challenge coin, edges warm, crest worn by palms. This isn't a prize, he said. It's a reminder. Keep it. Understand it. Return it. When you can tell me what it means, without speeches, you'll be ready. The coin landed in Logan's hand with more weight than size. Ruth looked to the board. Progress recorded, she said. Next review in 1 week. No media. The meeting ended without a bow. Outside, late light made everything sharper. Logan opened his hand. Coin in one palm, foil square in the other. Foil and coin. Trash and honor. One taught him to fold, the other told him to earn. He slid them together into the tiny pocket of his jeans, the mirror and the weight, so they could argue and agree in the same place. Sloane's hand found his shoulder once. Victor cleared his throat, then said the useful thing. We have an hour tomorrow morning. Copy, Noel said. Malik paused at the threshold, not for effect, just accuracy. Shine comes after the cloth gets warm. Simone let the line sit, then gave the smallest translation. Earn, then shine. Logan nodded. There were stems to write, names to say carefully, a page to finish before Savannah, and when he deserved it, a shoe to make right. Respect begins where excuses end. Earn, then shine. Subscribe if redemption starts with action. They scheduled it for the lull between watches. No tourists pressing in, no music of chatter, just the plaza breathing. Sergeant Noel Tran met them by a service bench just off the mat. Sloane and Victor stood together. Victor's phone was in his pocket, and for once, stayed there. Bernice Carter had come on purpose and quietly took the back line. On the bench, a soft cloth, a small bottle of warm polish, a wooden stick wrapped in felt, a neutral cleaner labeled in block letters. Noel tapped Utch, naming the order like an oath. Cleaner first, stick only on the mark, cloth last. You don't touch what wasn't yours to stain. Logan nodded. Coin in one pocket, foil in the other. The two weights argued and agreed against his thigh. Staff Sergeant Malik Rhodes stepped out, off duty, exact as ever, sunglasses on. He presented the shoe with the same respect he gave the post, then braced a palm against the bench, a living statue granting the smallest permission. Noel's voice was a metronome. Begin. Logan knelt. The wreath on the far rail moved once, a hush of ribbon in the light wind. He dampened the felt-wrapped stick, breathed, and touched only the gum, circles, light pressure, patient passes, The pale smear surrendered in crumbs, not drama. He did not hurry the victory. He hunted residue the way you look for a name you refuse to miss. Cleaner, wipe. Another pass. Then the cloth. A whisper across leather. The shine came back like water, remembering it was water. He stopped before it turned into performance. He put the cloth down and folded it the way Bernice had taught him to fold small things that matter. Noelle inspected. She didn't say, "Good job." She said, "Proceed." Polish now, no flourish, a thin bloom, heel to toe. His hands kept the rhythm he'd learned on the paths. Angle, slide, breathe. The leather answered. The shoe didn't ask for a mirror. It asked for respect. He gave it that. Noelle nodded once to Malik. Malik replaced the shoe. A quiet ended without needing to be announced. "Behind the chain," Noelle said. 60 seconds. No camera, no words. They moved as a small procession to the rail. The mat beyond was reset. The relief detail took post. 21 steps began, even and inevitable. Logan stood just behind the chain, shoulders square, hands still, face plain. The sunglasses across the lane threw back a small figure standing where he now knew to stand. Sloane's hand hovered as if to touch him, then let the air do the work. Victor lifted his phone out of habit, looked at the dark screen, and put it back. Noelle set a silent timer. The plaza did the speaking. A breeze tugged the wreath again. Steps laid their metronome down the stone. The polish on Malik's shoe caught the sun. For a breath, it held a sky and a boy in the same dark water. "Let the silence carry your answer," Simone had told him once. He didn't repeat it out loud. He let the line sit in his chest and do what it came to do. The seconds didn't count themselves. They became a shape he could stand inside. When the watch pivoted, his body did not flinch. When a camera rose somewhere, it lowered without instruction. When the timer went dark in Noelle's palm, nothing needed to happen to prove it. Only then did she speak. Complete. Malik's head barely moved, a nod you could miss if you were hunting for bigger things. It landed anyway. Bernice's hand found Logan's shoulder, warm and brief. "Thank you," she whispered, not to be heard by the plaza, just by the boy. He exhaled like a valve had opened. He didn't ask if he'd done good. He touched the tiny pocket where foil and coin lived, then let his hand fall. They returned to the service bench. Noelle lifted the folded cloth. "Keep this," she said, "not as a trophy, as a tool." Malik stepped closer, off-duty but unmistakably himself. He removed his sunglasses. The eyes behind them were as exact as the posture that had held all morning. "The coin," he said. Logan took it out and opened his palm. "What does it mean?" Malik asked. Logan didn't give a speech. "Earn, then shine," he said. "And don't shine before you've earned." Malik considered the short answer, then closed Logan's fingers back over the coin. "Return it tomorrow," he said. "Not because I need it. Because you know how to give it back." Logan nodded. He placed the coin beside the folded cloth for a breath, then slid it into his pocket with the foil. The circle closed without fanfare. The plaza resumed its ordinary dignity. Steps, wreath, sun. Victor looked at his phone once more and, for the first time since this began, didn't turn it on. Kanji finishes the lesson. Morning came with a clean edge. On Logan's desk, a coin and a foil square, pressed flat side by side. The coin held weight. The foil held a mirror. Between them lay what I heard in the silence, posted with comments off. No reaction hunt, just the words. He kept his Saturday habit, an hour at the grounds before anything else. Brush, return, read the name carefully. The path never stayed perfect. That wasn't failure. That was proof the work still needed hands. In Major Ruth Alvarez's office, the final box closed. Completion got a date. "We close the record," Ruth said. "We keep the lesson." Victor gave a small, crooked smile, the kind that admits a deal lost and the right thing won. "We keep the lesson." At the bench, Staff Sergeant Malik Rhodes waited, off-duty, exact. Logan placed the challenge coin on his open palm. "Earn, then shine," Logan said. No speech. Malik turned the coin once, then kept it. "Returned," he said. "That matters." He nodded at Logan's pocket. "Foil stays yours. Some reminders belong in your pocket, not on a wall." Malik left by a side path, not his usual route. A pull Logan couldn't name drew him after, at a distance the way he'd been taught. The soldier's posture eased. He stopped at a stone on the far row, grass cut close, earth even, no audience, no count, just Malik and a name, Corporal Ethan Rhodes. He slipped off his sunglasses, touched 2 fingers to the marble, a small salute. On his left wrist, a narrow black band showed stitched initials, ER, hand-sewn, a little crooked. He stood, not as a guard now, but as a brother, breathing once, long and plain. Logan stayed back, didn't call, didn't ask. The moment belonged to 2 people, one who lay and one who kept standing. The coin made new sense without anyone explaining it. Logan turned away first. They flew to Savannah. On Sunday morning, Sloane led her son to a flag that moved like breathing. "We stand still for this," she said. No anthem needed. They did. Mother and son, feet set, eyes up, long enough for the quiet to choose them on purpose. Back home, he took one picture for himself, a polished shoe reflecting early sky, blue pooled in leather like water held in a bowl. He saved it, didn't post it. The image was enough. That night, only the foil lay on his desk, mirror without the weight, and the boy who once tried to be big by being loud set his alarm for another early hour at the grounds. He didn't say sorry. He let silence do it for him. Silence became the truest apology. Some lessons shine long after the crowd leaves. A private creed now. Carry the weight, check the mirror, then step into the day. If stories of dignity and healing speak to you, stay with JusticeSoul.